Nietzsche? Really?
Yes. Welcome to another episode of Tea and Toffee's Advice Monthly VTuber podcast. Hello, I'm Nightshade, and I'm the demon.
And hello, I'm Cecilia. I was a witch in my previous life.
So, this is take 2 of part 2, just now part 3, of No One Stopped Nightshade from getting too deep into Madoka Magica. This episode is all about rebellion and Nietzsche, as I've announced in the previous 2 parts. More than enough, I hope.
And is more of a Nightshade monologue than the previous 2 parts.
Yeah. Why is this take 2 refer to part 1 of the series? Or to I think I explained it in the anniversary as well. Please and thank you. So, previously on Tea and Toffees. Nightshade, as in me.
You.
I talked about all things Madoka Magica. From the Madoka Magica franchise, the animation styles, pacing, dark elements, all about witches and souls, to entropy, time travel, chess, religion, Faust. Faust was not originally made by Goethe. Religion was not originally part of Faust. The moral lesson is apparently different. I haven't read the original versions. I'm not even sure what the original would be, or if there were several ones. Who knows? But I read Goethe's Faust. It was horrible. Thank you. Now, our host, I would say, but me, really? We finally get to talk about Madoka
Magica, the rebellion story.
Thank you. I can't talk anymore today. And Nietzsche. So, Cecilia.
Yes?
Rebellion is awesome, isn't it?
Only since I know that there is a sequel to that, Walpurgisnacht Rising. Otherwise, I would be mad because of the ending. It's like, you can't just leave me with this ending. How dare you leave me with this ending?
I actually didn't let you watch it the first time I had you watch Madoka Magica. Because it changes the entire ending. And I knew it would destroy you. Although I personally prefer the ending of Rebellion over the animes.
I can see why.
Yeah, but yeah, the sequel was announced 7 years after Rebellion had come out. So most people, including me, thought that Rebellion was the new ending. For 7 long years.
It makes me want to hiss. Hiss.
Because this episode is gonna be worse than the last 2, and I really don't want to talk all on my own. I'm gonna give you some sections of my notes this year. I hope that's fine.
Sure.
So, rebellion. I can't get around that. First, Rebellion has pacing issues.
Yes.
We're not gonna get right off the bat into Nietzsche, so let's talk about that first. The film is visually and audio-wise marvelous. It is a masterpiece in animation and soundtrack, but not, unfortunately, in storytelling. We begin with 30 minutes of a seemingly ideal version of Madoka Magica. Ha, now I got it right.
You did it.
Yet everyone watching this, who has watched the series or the 2 compilation films, or both, if not, why are you here? Will keep feeling off. Like, something is not right here. This doesn't make sense. 30 minutes.
And I asked myself, what the bloody hell is going on? It's like, I don't know what's going on. Is this another timeline or something? But Madoka has powers over all of those, so it can't be that.
And the interesting bit is that the girls fight as a team. We never got that beforehand. There is no conflict there are no conflicts whatsoever. No competition for things. Grief seeds or whatever the wraiths drop. I think it's called grief cubes or something. I'm not sure.
Grief cubes?
Yeah, I mean, they don't exist in this magical dream world anyway. There's no competition for those to clean their soul gems because the nightmares do it for all of them, apparently.
It feels more like a classic, like typical magical girl anime, which we know Madoka Magica isn't. But the automatic cleansing of all soul gems at the end is nice. There's no need to catch the grief seed and pass it around and hope it's enough for all of them or take turns. Nah.
Yeah, I think one brief seat would definitely not be enough for 5 girls. Going by the original.
And another nice thing, QB doesn't talk, and it became a Pokemon. You can carry it around on your shoulder.
Yeah, essentially. Even if it's just pretending, that's also
Even
very...
if it's just pretending.
odd, isn't it?
Hmm.
Also, saying Puella Magi Holy Quintet out loud is a thing that screams fan service.
It reminded me of the Wings Club.
I'm just gonna pretend Mommy made them say that. Mommy's the only one who calls out her attack names in the original series, so yeah, no way would they have done that if not for Mommy.
Although the others have names for their attacks now too. Did Mommy do that as well?
Good question. I mean, Madoka and Mommy get a Tiro duet, which, okay, Mommy's in there, right?
Yes.
Then Homura goes with these, and Sayaka goes the 5 Lillians, and then Kyoko says Lettucework Berry, and I'm like, huh? Why?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if that wasn't Mommy's influence, it's an addition I do not like.
So we were chalked up to Mommy's influence.
And Baby is definitely offensive.
Yes, but I like the addition. Mascarpone!
On one hand, yes. On the other hand, no. I mean, the creators admitted that Baby was in there as fan service for the fans. And kind of, I would have liked to, I don't know, it's just, on one hand, it's kind of morbid that Mommy is now best friends with the thing that killed her. And on the other hand, I like the idea that Charlotte was born out of the miasma, bad emotions from the hospital, and not previously a tiny magical girl. It's a bit.
Yeah, with the last one, I have to agree.
Would be better world building. It just fits the world building better than whatever Bibi is. Anyway. Yeah, generally, just the pacing of this film is off. Like I said, 30 minutes of peace. Yeah. That's the first 10 minutes of those 30 minutes span an entire month. And we didn't see any of it. On one hand, yes, it fits because we all know it's not real. It's a dreamlike witch barrier thing, right? But still, it doesn't work with it doesn't quite work with the pacing. It does fit and work. It does work in the sense that it makes you feel like this is weird and it doesn't really, but still. And then after those 30 minutes, it takes another 10 more minutes for going from Homura realizing that she's a witch to actually finishing the transformation into a witch, combined with QB's explanation dump.
This was really an explanation dump.
Yes. I praised the original series for being so good in its reveals and world building and all that, right? We did also get some exposition dumps there, but not as bad as this. It is accompanied by gorgeous animation, but yeah. I have a quote here from Udoibuchi. Udoibuchi? Is that an I too much? I don't know. I'll look it up right on screen. It's either Udoibuchi or Udoibuchi, but I think it's Udoibuchi. Anyway, well, it's a translation of him. So, Cecilia, you may tell us this quote.
Sure. Even if the Madoka Magica team does outrageous things with the scenario, they do an incredible job of depicting it with powerful visuals and wondrous directing. In an ordinary anime, we could never get away with scenes showing Kyubey droning on and on, but Madoka Magica allowed us to take on such challenges, too. And for me, it was an invaluable, enjoyable experience.
Yeah, and this worked in the original series, but it doesn't work in Rebellion, not for me at least. Especially not after those 30 very slow beginning minutes, right?
Yeah, I remember when we first watched it together, the first watch, I was very tired and I nearly fell asleep.
Yeah, it looks good, it sounds good, but the storytelling just doesn't work in an entirety. Maybe parts of it would have worked if put in a different context, but...
Yeah.
There's also the fact the film ends at 1 hour 35 minutes, but there are 20 minutes left to go.
Yeah.
And there is a little problem in the way it's written, rather than the fact that there is indeed more after the supposed end. It's like, I like the idea of like, oh, it ends, wait, no.
I was like, this is like the end, but I know there's stuff left. And then I was like,
Which is a good idea, but the flow doesn't feel natural. It was a good idea, but it didn't feel natural. Which goes hand in hand with all the other pacing issues that came before. That's like I said, on its own, the elements might have worked, but it's just too many issues. Which makes me wonder, maybe this would have worked better actually as a series, a mini-series, cut into episodes rather than a film. 1 for the first 30 minutes until Homura gets suspicious, 2 for the middle part, cutting off when Homura grabs Madokami, and then 1 for the epilogue.
I like the idea of a mini-series.
Yeah, episode 1. Transfer student Homura. Happy magical girls fighting nightmares as a team. Homura gets suspicious. Cliffhanger. Episode 2. Homura investigates, fights Mami. Sayaka gets involved. Episode 3. Homura and Madoka talk. Homura figures it out. The final battle. Final battle. Madokami comes to take Homura away and everything is supposed to be fine, but then episode 4. Homura transforms into a demon and all that happens after. Right? Works?
Yes. Works well.
It's the same story. It's kind of mostly even the same pacing, just cut into episodes and suddenly it works better. Yeah, a film and several episodes can tell the exact same story, yet the pacing will feel entirely different. Case in point, the original Madoka Magica series versus the compilation films Eternal and Beginnings. Beginnings and Eternal. Right? They did a good job on the second one, but the first one just doesn't really... The anime episodes do not translate well into the film pacing. That's just how it is. And yeah, this feels like it was designed to be a series instead, or just, I don't know, not a film. Storytelling-wise, Homura's controversial decision at the end is actually something I can completely understand. And I know where she is coming from. But I have a deeper understanding of the entire story than casual viewers do, I would say, in my humble opinion.
Which is never humble.
Yes, I know. But I like saying it. It sounds nice to my ears, you know.
I know.
So this is also something that could have been written better. The foreshadowing, the threads connecting it. Everything that led up to that moment at the end to make it feel in character for Homura. It is in character. There's subtextual context missing that wasn't shown well enough to make everyone, or most people, understand that. A lot of people have issues with the ending. I mean, on one hand, yeah, wishful thinking and all that, and being like, oh, it's kind of a sad ending in a way. And others are like, this doesn't feel in character for Homura. And I'm like, it does. It's just, you need to look really, really close at her characterization to see it. And yeah, that's, like I said, it's very subtextual. And they could have made that better, especially if they were going for this ending. It's also interesting when you watch the film knowing what happened, if you watch it for a second time, for example, or spoiler yourself or whatever. Sayaka and Nagisa are just playing along despite knowing what is up. Nagisa being Baby/Charlotte, for those who don't remember. I wouldn't expect either of those two to be a good actor. And some of their conversations and actions leading up to the reveal, they don't make sense in hindsight.
If you pay enough attention, then yes.
Yes, it's if you go back watching it and pay attention, then it's like, okay, that they don't strike me as good enough actors to pull this off. And some conversations just don't make sense in the context that they both know what is up. Okay,
Yeah.
we don't know Babe and Nagisa well enough to be like, okay, maybe she is, but I don't know, doesn't. What actually does give you more context, especially for Homura's decision, is the Rave arc, which is one of the manga spin-offs that takes place between the anime/Beginnings and Eternal and Rebellion. But it was released after Rebellion, and it isn't actually accessible to many people in the legal way. Also, it's a very different medium altogether, right? It's a manga, not an anime film.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't fix the writing problems of the film. It helps, but not, yeah. For context, because...
Yeah, what happens in the Rave arc?
Yeah.
Give me context.
The Rave arc. So Homura doesn't have her time manipulation anymore, but instead uses a bow, as we see at the end of the anime, and minor memory manipulation. And she's overall quite powerful. We learn more about the Raves, which is kind of nice, right? This is the new universe now. The main girls, minus Madoka, are fleshed out a bit more, which is also really fun. And then slowly, Homura starts losing faith in her own memories. she starts thinking, as a consequence of having these abilities now, that she might have manipulated her own memories and made Madoka up. We also get more context for Madoka and Homura's feelings for each other, creating a miracle by refusing to forget one another and all that, because Homura refuses to forget Madoka, who's now a god, and Madoka is the god who refuses to forget Homura, right?
Yes.
And then there's the contradiction between Homura's original wish and the original powers that were born from that wish, and the new universe that Madokami created, which, makes the wish kind of a contradiction, a paradox. And also, of course, what we see, Kyubey got the idea to access Madokami by trapping Homura's soul gem from the entire whole mess that goes down in the Wraith arc. Because, the whole drama of the Wraith arc essentially proves to Kyubey that Homura's story about the witches was true, that Homura told it, right? Context.
Context
provides
is
a lot
important.
of context for what goes down in Rebellion. But the manga was released after. I'm not sure whether it was created after, but it was released after. So it seems to me that it was made to provide more context in hindsight.
Probably.
I mean, if we had gotten an anime series instead, we could have included it as flashbacks, or as extra stories. Flashbacks, actually. Yeah, flashback episode.
Flashbacks.
We got that in the original as well. Yeah, so much for the pacing and the context that is missing, which is also kind of, storytelling, just storytelling, pacing and missing context, or context that was too subtle, in my opinion. Going deeper into the story, you could say starting with the end of Rebellion, but I'm only really going into the end and then doing some overall symbolism. Nietzsche symbolism?
Nietzsche. Just Nietzsche.
Well, and other things like Nutcracker, and it's not all Nietzsche.
Starting with the end.
Oh boy. Well, at this point, it's not a start anymore. We've already gotten right into it, right?
Yes.
But yeah, the end. Homura breaks off a part of the law of cycles.
That's rough, buddy.
Now we have Madoka as a normal girl, as a consequence of forgetting that she is a god inside Homurili's barrier. Earlier, right?
Yes.
I think that this gave Homura the idea probably for breaking off a part from the law of cycles and having it not remember its divinity, so that it can be Madoka as a normal girl, allowing her to have a normal life.
Just a normal girl with a normal life.
Now, Sayaka and Homura, in their conversation, claim that a part of the law of cycle was broken off. But that last scene we see where Madoka starts to remember and starts to regain divine powers makes it more like she simply forgot. So, who knows what... I mean, Homura would know what she did, right?
Yes, Homura would know.
We don't know... We can't be quite sure. We haven't got an explanation yet, but it's kind of like, okay, so which is it? Did she just forget? Is she just a part broken off? How does it work? Pacing and contextual writing issues aside, I like how Rebellion goes against the genre once more, as it always does, by having Homura not be taken away by Madokami being selfish for once. I like this ending so much better than the writer's original intention, because the original intention was actually not this. Like, yes, Homura, be selfish. Be selfish for once. My notes.
Join the dark side. It has
I need to reopen my notes. My notes just decided to nope. We're not noping out of here.
Join the dark side. We have cookies. Yes. Cookies.
Do we have cookies? We also have brownies.
Brownies? Do we also have toffees?
White cats. Now I need to find it. Where were we?
I'm just gonna continue with your notes.
There it is. Yes.
You found it?
I found it.
Okay.
The small little bit that was in your color.
Wow.
Very hard to find. Anyway.
Yes. Cookies. And toffees.
Yes.
And
so
brownies.
originally it was not intended to be like that. I think I have more notes on that later. If not, this year remind me to talk about it. Anyway, I like that. I like it. It goes against what you expect it to do. which I love. The original anime does that as well, right? It is fitting for the series. So, at the end of the original series, Madoka makes her wish. All seems well. All seems fine. Good ending, right? Right?
Right.
Not really.
Oh.
Because all of Homura's struggles have now turned out to be for nothing in the end. All she did was for Madoka, to save Madoka. And ultimately, she failed in that.
Oh.
Madoka's sacrifice at the end of the original series is just another failure on Homura's part, from Homura's perspective.
Yes, of course.
Madoka has been sacrificing herself over and over again in every loop, and this one is just one more sacrifice, only it's irreversible for Homura. For now. This makes her decision at the end of Rebellion to break a part of the law of cycles so much more understandable. Also, the Wraith arc makes it more understandable. She's giving Madoka a chance to live a normal life, to be happy, which is all Homura ever wanted for her. In Homura's mind, this is what's going on. Also, consent, Homura.
Yeah.
Anyway. Homura doesn't care about the witches, the fate of the magical girls, the wraiths, whatever. Homura cares about Madoka's happiness. That's it. That's it. That's all she cares about. She kept repeating the same month and a half from the 16th of March to presumably the 1st of May, approaching 100, according to the writer, which amounts to just about 12 years. 12 bloody years, give or take, depending on the exact days and loops. 100 times where Madoka dies. 100 times where Madoka doesn't remember her. I think also in that context that at the end of the original series, we see her telling Kyubei about Madoka and the witches, right? Which is like, why would she do that? Why would she give Kyubei ideas? I think
no clue.
I think this is an attempt of Homura to assure herself that Madoka existed. After all, Homura is the only one who remembers, and Madoka's little brother, presumably. It's there's this quote: "Not a single trace or memory of your life on Earth will remain." It's like Zero Experience Lane. Memory gone means you never existed, but Homura remembers.
Which I argued over.
Yeah, we had an argument about that. Link somewhere for this episode. Anyway.
In the description down below.
No, not the description. I'm doing the thingy, the info thingy. That's
the info thingy.
So it's at the corner somewhere. Anyway. Yeah. Homura remembers, though. Everyone else doesn't, so never existed, but Homura remembers, and this is driving her, it will drive her insane, it's driving her insane. No one else remembers, and by all appearances, Madoka apparently never existed. So did Homura imagine that? Was it never real? Welcome to Rebellion.
Wow. Memories. Such a fickle thing.
That's the context. That's, like I mentioned, the Wraith arc gives a lot of context for this, because that's what happens in the Wraith arc as well. I got that without it. And I reread the Wraith arc, it's been some years, and I was like, yeah, it's all in here as well. Nice. Oh, most of it is. Yeah, this is what is missing if you just watch the compilation films or just watch the series and then Rebellion, right? If you just watch the original parts and nothing of the extra material, it's... On that matter for Homura's feelings, I just want to mention this, it's obsessive love, end of story. It is not mere friendship. It is not pure and good love. It is obsessive love. The flower scene in Rebellion is very important, because it shows you exactly what this is about. The flowers are an obvious symbolism in this way, the way they wilt and bloom in new novels, is because they accompany Homura's entire realization.
Homura's love turned into obsession to the point where she is ignoring Madoka's own wish. She chose to be a goddess. She willingly took this burden and doesn't regret it, but Homura is just ignoring all of that. She got her answer.
I will come back to that in a moment. Just look at the way Homura relived the same month and a half over and over again just to save Madoka. You wouldn't do that for me, a friend, would you? Family, maybe.
Nope.
I heard that family is... I don't know, someone you share with, okay, maybe you would do it for a friend, but still.
Yeah, maybe you would do it for your best friend, family, your
I can't imagine
other.
myself doing it for anyone except for my cats, but... I suppose Madoka is the cat in that context.
Yes.
But yeah, just look at Rebellion. Literally, look at all of Rebellion. It's an obsessive love letter to Madoka, isn't it? From Homura. She despairs over having made Madoka up. She kneels before that mural of Madokami at one point. She tears the law of cycles apart and becomes a devil for the sole purpose of giving Madoka an ordinary life, an existence people will remember. In her opinion, happy life, something she deserves, in Homura's opinion. In her mind.
In her
She
mind.
never
It's all in her mind.
Yeah, the flower field conversation. I said I would come back to it. So, this is also an important scene that fueled Homura's decision. Like I said, the flowers wilting, blooming again, along with Homura's feelings and decisions. Madoka starting to braid Homura's hair, as it was initially, before Homura started to doubt this perfect little world. And then, the most important part, Madoka says things here that make Homura think, okay, I'm going with this decision, I'm going to give Madoka this life. It's clearly what she wants. But we can't be sure that these are her true feelings, and that's the important bit. Homura's like, okay, yes, that's what Madoka wants, but does she?
Does she?
Because this is Homura's witch barrier, and because Madoka's memories and the experience she remembers are different from all that happened before this point, so the situation is entirely different. This Madoka doesn't know about the witches, about the suffering they caused, and why she made that wish. She does not fully comprehend what Homura is talking about and what Homura is asking her. But Homura doesn't think about that. Wouldn't want to think about it either. Homura now has her answer and nothing can stop her anymore. And even if that answer is not the one Madoka would have given had Madoka had all the facts in her hand at that point, she would not have given that. But I think Homura would have probably still made that decision somehow, deluded herself into doing it.
Once again, it's lack of information. Like Kyubey making contracts.
Yes, it's very tragic. It's very tragic. But yeah, Homura's now, this is clearly what Madoka wants. No, it isn't.
No.
Yeah, Wave Arc, again, I don't know how many times I have to go to it. It's just all her powers as well, right? Wave Arc is like, okay, with Madoka rewriting the universe, Homura now has memory manipulation powers, which is exactly what Homura's witch barrier is doing. Memory manipulation. That's where that comes from. She didn't just suddenly develop those powers. It's what happened as a consequence of Madoka rewriting the universe. According to the Wave Arc. You don't know that if you haven't read it.
I haven't.
Anyway, the entire flower scene makes it all the more tragic that Madoka and Homura are now destined to become enemies, which is the concept the film was based on. So here's this here, take this one as well.
Okay, so according to Nightshade's notes, the screenwriter originally wanted to end Rebellion with Madoka taking Homura away and the story ending. But the director and the producer wanted to keep the story going after Rebellion.
Funny, because nothing happened for the next decade after its release, but yeah, continue.
Writer Gen Urobuchi.
So it was Urobuchi after all.
It was Urobuchi after all. Also said ending the film with Homura and Madoka simply reuniting like that wouldn't be enough. And because the director said Madoka bearing the burden of becoming a god was a bit much, and with Madoka and Homura become enemies, and so Urobuchi came up with Rebellion's ending.
Yeah, was like, okay, maybe the burden's a bit much. What if they became enemies? And then Rebellion happened.
Yeah.
The screenwriter is well aware that the ending is controversial, because of course he is. This is what I alluded to earlier, that he's like, he didn't actually originally want to write it like that. Which, he got pressured in it. But yeah, so the end of Rebellion, all that goes down, it is meant to be confusing. Whether it is a good or bad ending for the characters is left ambiguous on purpose as well. So much for the storytelling context. It's really the only important part about Rebellion is the flower scene and then the entire epilogue. And of course, you need the entire 30-minute beginning and the entire witch fight scene. But I don't think there's too much to... Oh well. Anyway, so I picked two major symbols present in Rebellion. Because we're not counting Nietzsche's symbolism, right?
No, we're not counting that one.
Nietzsche comes at the end, if you don't want to listen to Nietzsche. You can skip that. So first, the two that I picked are Homura's lizard/salamander theme and the Nutcracker.
Okay.
So the lizards, and salamanders. It's actually, we don't know whether they're lizards or salamanders. I'll get to that in a minute. We see these throughout Rebellion. I've compiled some screenshots. So, Cecilia, tell the audience what I'm showing them on screen. Give you the context in the notes.
Okay. The earring in the dirt from the intro and the one Homura wears at the end are likely the same.
Looks, so yeah, once you see the head and the other the tail.
Yes. During the girls' fight against Homura, Homura is represented as a purple lizard/salamander. During Homura's demonification, this symbol is shown. There's 2 on the signpost near the end of the film as well.
Yes. And then the concept movie, which probably a lot of them, I don't know, the casual fan might not know about it. I don't know whether it was, in what capacity it was even ever released, but there's a concept movie. Here I got some screenshots. So it's basically about Madoka and Homura talking back and forth about happiness and how God cannot have it, and then a lizard girl tearing God apart. Or God in 2, as it says. It's quite obvious what this one is about, right?
Yeah.
Also funny because like what we see is Madoka dancing as a ballerina. And then the first screenshot showed this like some concept art of different things. It's very interesting. Now, but the lizard salamander thing. So lizards are reptiles, modern reptiles anyway, because everyone is a reptile. If you are familiar with the vertebrate family tree, or just watched a Jurassic Park episode, you'll know what I'm talking about. So, and salamanders are amphibians. So they are actually they look similar, but they're not really closely related at all. You may help me with this one as well, Cecilia. Please and thank you.
The salamanders were believed to be born from fire because they appeared whenever a bonfire was lit. They were obviously hidden among the firewood and fled from the fire. Ironic myth, considering amphibians don't do well with fire at all. No animal does, truly, but amphibians and extreme heat are a really bad idea.
Although there are amphibians living in deserts, having adapted to survive the limited supply of water. I find that interesting. They tend to live close to the few water sources that do exist, often are only active at night when the temperatures drop, or simply hibernate until it rains underground. Hibernate underground until it rains.
The word amphibian is derived from Greek to live a double life, or having 2 lives. They were named thus because they live partially in water and partially on land. Maybe the fact that some undergo great changes as they grow, from tadpole to frog, also played a role.
And both lizards and salamanders have been ascribed a lot of symbolism. I mean, every animal has symbolism if you know where to look, really.
Yeah.
To keep it short, lizards are associated with death, rebirth, and reincarnation, thanks to their ability to regrow limbs, probably. Also with good fortune in China, and with love in Japan, or good luck for geckos, in particular, in Japan. Sounds fitting for Homura.
Yeah.
Salamanders are associated with fire, immortality, passion, and temptation, with rebirth through fire, akin to a phoenix. Which, very fitting, and...
Very fitting.
Homura's name can be written with the kanji for flame. Madoka's can be written with the kanji for circle, and Madoka itself, if it were written with the kanji for circle and then the hiragana, it would mean round.
Circle.
The girls' names are actually all written in hiragana and katakana, except for Kyoko. Hers is the only one written with a kanji, with 2 kanji, which is the kanji for apricot.
Okay. Apricot, by the way.
Apricot, yes.
Apricot.
I don't know why. Apricot. It's just Kyoko.
Just Kyoko.
Wonder what that means. Anyway. Yeah, so that's the salam. It's very prevalent. It's very prevalent symbol and very lots of just Homura being represented like that. Something else we see a few times in the film is a spool of pink thread. This, I believe, represents the law of cycles in a way. I mean, it's a spool of thread, so it's a kind of circling, right?
Yeah.
Either that or Madoka herself. Or the thread of fate that QB mentioned in episode 11 in association with Madoka's karmic destiny, because it's also like a spool of thread. It's like round and round and round and round, right?
And round and round and round.
Lots of threads converging in one point. Yeah. if you keep that in mind and then watch closely what happens with that spool or thread, then the meaning is pretty obvious. It falls down during Homura's realization that she's a witch to where the Clara dolls are standing, the familiars. Then it is around for the role of Homura's transformation. You see it here and there. And then, and that's where you really take notice, is it falls into darkness. And then circles around Homura as she turns into a demon. And then is apparently encased by Homura's new crown-shaped soul gem that she then eats.
Nom nom nom.
So I could, of course, point this out to you, but yeah, I'm just saying it represents.
Just saying.
Yeah, it represents Madoka or part of or something associated with Madoka in one way or another, and then all of this happens. So, nom.
Nom. Like white cat.
Yeah. So much for that. Nutcracker is something else I wanted to touch upon. The Nutcracker is best known as a ballet, but it is actually based on a short story, which is called The Nutcracker and the Mouse King. First published in German as part of children's stories collection. Hoffmann is the writer of the original one. His version is considered to be way darker than the retelling that Dumas wrote, and Dumas's retelling is what inspired the ballet. Dumas was French. So you got the German version from Hoffmann, the original one, and then French author Dumas rewrote it, retold it, and then the ballet that is really well known is based on it. There's also an animated film from Disney, I believe.
Yeah.
Or Pixar? No, probably Disney. There's several adaptations and all that, of course.
Yes.
I honestly cannot remember how the modern version goes because it's been too long since I've seen one. But I'm taking Cecilia to our local opera house in December, so we both get to see a modern version then.
Will be my first ballet.
I'm very excited.
Me too.
Haven't seen one
Looking
in too long.
forward to it.
So it's Christmas, which is why the Nutcracker's played around Christmas usually, in our opera house as well. There's a family with 3 children. One of them is a 7-year-old girl by the name Marie, who befriends a Nutcracker doll that comes alive in her dreams to fight the evil 7-headed Mouse King, who blackmails Marie into giving him sweets and such. Her godfather, called Drosselmeyer, tells her one day how his nephew was cursed by a princess and the Mouse Queen to be a Nutcracker. And Marie eventually breaks the curse and is taken away to the doll kingdom by the now former Nutcracker. There's of course more to it, it's a bit more complicated and convoluted then, but that's like the short, very condensed version, right?
Yeah.
I think an adaptation always ends up being just a dream. Not sure. Yeah, there are a lot of details that give the original story a rather dark and ominous atmosphere, which are fitting for Rebellion. So we have Homura, the Nutcracker, fighting Hubei, the Mouse King. Homura is literally called is literally called the Nutcracker Witch. That's her title.
So, how many nuts did she crack?
Well, there is a shot of a walnut in her mouth.
So, at least one.
Yeah, at least one. Then all her familiars, some of them are called the Clara dolls. In the ballet, Marie's name is changed to Clara. And there's also the Lottes, who look like tin soldier Homura and hate rats. And the Louise Lottes, whose duty is to eliminate rats among others. So the parallels to the Nutcracker story are there, right? Uma Lily's barrier is the fantasy world, the doll kingdom, the kingdom of sweets, that the Nutcracker brings the protagonist to, which would be Madoka. There's a scene where Madoka reaches out to Homura, and we see Madoka's arm littered with cuts during the witch transformation fight thingy scene, somewhere around the middle part of the film. In the original, Marie cuts her arm during the first night with the Nutcracker, so I'm assuming that's where the cuts came from. Or, I'm assuming it's a reference, right? That would be the obvious.
Likely.
Otherwise, I'm like, why are there cuts on her arm? But it's a reference to that, and of course, like, oh no, Madoka's hurting trying to save Homura and all that.
Oh no.
Depending on the version, the Nutcracker falls in love with Marie/Clara. I sincerely hope that she's not 7 or 12 years old in those versions.
Wait, what?
Yeah, in the original time, Marie is 7. Some retellings make her/Clara 12. And the Nutcracker is an adult man. So
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, Homura, of course, definitely loves Madoka. Nutcracker falls in love with Marie, Clara. Madoka being asleep to meet Homura is, in this case, Madoka forgetting her divinity, right? Her memories are asleep. Because only then can they meet and talk in rebellion. And that's also how the protagonist from the original story can meet the Nutcracker, only in her dreams. Also, at the end, Nutcracker Homura takes Marie Madoka away to a fantasy world. In this case, the fantasy world is the normal life created by Homura, right?
Yeah.
Also, we literally see Homura dance 7 ballet steps at the very end of Rebellion. There's this thing with 7 steps in the backstory of the Nutcracker's curse. With like 7 steps backwards or something. There was something about that. I mentioned the concert movie earlier. This one is probably Swan Lake, which I'm also taking this year to see in our local opera house next year.
Yeah, which will be my second ballet. And my 4th time visiting our local opera house. It's a really impressive opera house.
That it is indeed, yes. So, yeah, the Nutcracker Witch. Lots and lots of parallels drawn there. And now, Nietzsche.
Nietzsche, time for Nietzsche.
I need to first, though. First, I'm skipping Milton's Paradise Lost because I disagree with the parables people see in Rebellion. And Susie hasn't read Paradise Lost, and you don't have to really. It was interesting, but I disagree, so I'm not going into it. Don't feel like I explain myself. But Nietzsche. First, though, I probably need to explain Nietzsche, because Cecilia definitely doesn't know that.
Nope, I don't.
And probably some in our audience might be interested and don't know this stuff. You can skip this. Either the explanation if you're familiar with Nietzsche or the entire section, whatever. I don't mind, it's fine. Whatever you want. I have timestamps. So, yeah. Nietzsche. Friedrich Nietzsche. Lived during the 19th century, died in the year 1900. He was technically actually not a German philosopher, even though people think that. He was born Prussian, but annulled his citizenship when he started working in Switzerland, which means technically he didn't have any citizenship by the end. He was nothing. But he was born Prussian. Prussia. I will quote Wikipedia here. He became the youngest person to hold the chair of classical philology at the University of Basel in 1869 at the age of 24.
What's philology?
Study of language. Impressive. Really impressive.
Really impressive, yes.
So technically I have not read Nietzsche's works. I don't intend to either, to be honest. Or maybe I read parts of it some years ago and I don't remember, but I'm very familiar with his way because I encountered him way too often in the time I've spent trapped in this world. You will not believe how often I've encountered this man's philosophies. It's ridiculous.
Never. Well, until you told me, and then I encountered it once.
Maybe maybe he was covered in school and you just don't remember. It's possible.
Could also be.
I think he's just sometimes part of literature class, whatever language you're in class. Isn't it like a literature class? Is the German literature class is literally German?
Yes.
And I think America sometimes has literature as a separate one, but Britain doesn't, so it's English. I don't know. It's confusing sometimes. Anyway, there is this symphonic poem, which is orchestral music. For those unfamiliar with the term, I also didn't know that. I was like, what's a symphonic poem? It's orchestral music. It's called Also sprach Zarathustra. Thus spoke Zarathustra. It always stuck in my head when I heard that. It's stuck in my head. I think it's the Störtebeker Spiele play that at the end. For the credit part.
Could be. I've never seen them.
They're also really fun. They're really fun. I saw 2. Funnily enough, both were the same part from the same act, just different iterations. Because it's like you have a season that goes through all the acts and they do their own interpretation, and then it starts with a new cast and a new interpretation, right? So I saw 2 different interpretations, but it was the same act, same scene. Anyway, so this symphonic poem always sticks in my head when I hear it. And I was not aware of this until I did the research for this episode originally. It is based on a book series by Nietzsche. Wonders never cease.
No, they don't.
Same. It's also this book, Zarathustra. That's what the book series is called. I have no idea how you make an orchestral music out of a philosophy book. I also cannot get over the fact that one of his works is called The Gay Science in English. Obviously meaning the cheerful science sense of the word, but still.
Wait, it means cheerful? Seriously? But it's called the gay science.
The word was originally in English used as a synonym for cheerful.
What?
You didn't know that? Have you never read Lord of the Rings?
It
has gay elves.
No.
They are probably also gay.
Yeah.
But it's meant that they're gay.
Okay, I will keep that in mind once I get around to reading Lord of the Rings, because I do have it as an ebook. I haven't gotten around to reading it yet.
It's so bloody long and boring. The world building is awesome, but this dude could not write compelling stories. I'm sorry. Yeah. I read it for the world building. I fell asleep during Hobbit. You won't know how long it took me to get through the Lord of the Rings. It's oof. Anyway, but wait, you read Good Omens. It's in there as well.
It is?
Yep. And it's a joke. It's a play word on Aziraphale being gay.
Well, yes, he's gay.
Yes.
So that's why I probably didn't notice it, because I was
context,
like...
the context is that you could meet that it is meant both ways.
Oh, the thing with like, when every time someone sees him, they assume like 3 things: that he is gay, that he's intelligent, and that he's British, and 2 of these things are correct.
Wasn't it gayer than a tree full of monkeys?
It could be, but the 4th one is British, because heaven is not in Britain.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. And it's like, yes, he's gay in the sense of very, very cheerful and joyful, but can he be gay if he doesn't have a gender, technically?
Learn new things every episode, I suppose. Gay also means cheerful. Faust was not originally from Goethe, and gay means cheerful. Yeah, sure.
Breaking enthusiasm. That's what I'm here for.
Yes.
Anyway, so many of Nietzsche's works discuss morality and truth. The master-slave morality is pretty famous. There's the statement, God is dead, that came from him. It's often taken out of context. He's often associated with nihilism, also pronounced nihilism. Yes, both are correct. No, I don't know whether that's a British American English thing. I'll probably switch them. Who cares? The whole Übermensch thing, homo superior. And Nietzsche was very critical of modern society and mass culture in the 19th century. 19th century. Modern society and mass culture. Wow. He was really ahead of his time. This man, he wrote a lot. He thought a lot. Philosopher, they are a lot.
I think a lot.
They are a lot. Somehow they're also allergic to formulating their thoughts in comprehensible sentences.
Yes.
I don't know why. They cannot. I suppose writing is not their strength. Clearly.
Nope. Clearly not.
Wasn't that a saying? That like, if you study it, then you know too much, so you can't be a good teacher or something. I don't remember. There was something about that. Anyway, so it's kind of ironic that Nietzsche eventually had a mental breakdown and went kind of insane, considering his work. As far as I know, there are a few theories about the cause of the loss of his mental faculties, but nothing definite. So we're not gonna speculate, right?
No.
Yeah, philosophy is generally just ridiculously convoluted and all about interpretation. Just putting that out there, in case I say something people disagree with, which I probably will. Quick question, Cecilia, do you know what nihilism is?
No, I don't. You should have expected that.
I did. That's why I prepared an explanation.
Good.
The most prevalent version, because there are different positions, is that life is meaningless. Nothing matters.
Wow.
Others are, all values are baseless and nothing can be known or communicated. Nihilism isn't also entirely Western either, because it's actually present in Buddhism to a certain degree. Though there is a debate about whether Buddhism concepts are nihilistic or not. It's an entire thing.
It's a thing.
Yes, but if you look at the philosophies of Buddhism, you will find some familiar things in there that sound a lot like nihilism, but others will defend Buddhism and say, it's not. Yeah, there's a debate about it. Yeah, so everything in life is meaningless because life is meaningless. There is no purpose to your life.
What is the meaning of life?
Nothing, that's what.
Biologists would say reproduction.
So still nothing. There is no meaning to life. It's all pointless. Oh, I love nihilism. Can you tell?
How lovely. It's all
Yes,
pointless.
it's a life philosophy. Yeah. This is what I go by, right? Everything is pointless.
Except cuddling a cat. That is never pointless.
True, very much true. Hit the nail on the head, Cecilia. Alright. Let's take two of his themes, which would be God is Dead and the Übermensch. The phrase God is Dead comes primarily from two of his works. One of them is actually Zarathustra, irony on my part. Übermensch also first came up in that one, although Nietzsche wasn't the first to come up with the concept of the Übermensch. He just coined the term, I believe. Dante and Ovid and others also talked about it. You will remember Dante from earlier?
Yes.
And Ovid is a famous Roman poet. Why am I doing this? I hate humans. Yeah, philosophers love to put humanity at the center of the whole universe. Anyway. So, God is dead. Human society killed him. On that note, why the is the God from Christianity and related religions male? I never understood that.
Because
no one answered that.
patriarchy was a thing back in the day.
No one answered that. I do not want to know. God should be above gender, in my opinion. Anyway.
Yes, I agree.
So this sentence is more like the idea of God is dead, rather than the literal meaning, which is the literal meaning is what people sometimes use it for, which is out of context, because it's more like the idea of God is dead, right?
Yes.
Meaning with science, especially physics, on the rise, there was no need, back during Nietzsche's time, for religion anymore, which was the divine right to rule, the basis for morality, etc. And as Christians started losing faith in God, stopped believing in God, because science, they essentially killed God. And they didn't even notice. As a consequence, they also lost their right to, and the need for, Christian morality, which was the basis of the justice system, I believe. So science killed God, the entire system of society based on religion was going to collapse, and no one even noticed. Sounds plausible.
Yes, it sounds very plausible.
Yeah, Nietzsche feared that this would lead to pessimism, to nihilism, and then World War II followed his death. Anyways, Nietzsche's way out was the proposed concept of the Übermensch, the solution to overcome nihilism. An Übermensch is someone who determines their own value and morals, instead of following standard values and morals set by, in this case, religion. Someone who fulfills their own potential, an ideal person in Nietzsche's eyes.
Someone who determines their own values and morals. Sounds like you.
Yeah. Yep. I can be a hypocrite and be happy about it. I don't know what other people have a problem with. Anyway, so, someone who does not suppress their desires as Christianity would have it, but would mold them into a healthy lifestyle. Someone who would accept their own weaknesses rather than hide them, reshape themselves into something better, accept the unchangeable, less desirable parts of themselves. Which sounds a lot like love yourself.
Love yourself, yes.
Yeah. Humans have the potential to become great, but that requires them to work hard on themselves and their own morals and values and their own view of themselves, to look at all the parts of life, the suffering, etc., and accept it. Make of that what you will, because such a way of life will have consequences. I say all hail nihilism, thank you very much. But, yeah. Also, lastly, I need to mention this, but I'm not going really. The master-slave morality. Really super short version. Master morality views good and bad/evil as something completely different than slave morality, creating a struggle between them, as those concepts are inseparable from the culture that frames them. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yes, this entire thing was the short version of Nietzsche. Technically, at least half of this wasn't necessary, because you can just look that up, or maybe you know it, but Cecilia didn't, and I actually really like talking about this, because it's fascinating.
Yeah, that it is. I liked hearing about it.
Okay, so now for the parallels to rebellion. Because God is dead in rebellion, and Homura, the Übermensch, ?
Tell me more.
There is a ridiculously long article that talks about rebellion in Nietzsche. It is called Suspended in Dreams on the Mitakehara loop line, a Nietzschean reading of Madoka Magica rebellion story. It is about 45,000 words of essentially nothing.
That's a lot of words for nothing.
Well, not nothing, just It could have been condensed immensely, in my opinion. The first half especially. The second half is not as bad. Still very thorough and well done analysis once you get through it.
Are you telling me you read the entire thing in one night? Because I remember you writing me a message about it the night before you finished your notes.
I skimmed through it in one night while getting distracted with other things. Yes. I am keeping this entire thing considerably shorter.
Thank someone. Thank Toffee.
Thank me. Anyway, so ultimately, philosophy is all about interpretation. Just want to say that again.
Can't stress
First of
that
all,
enough.
Homo Lily's familiars literally chant God is tot. At one point during the World QB explanation, which transformation scene, which is the original German phrase of God is dead. So, can't be more obvious. Godoka, Madokami is dead, Homo Lily killed her, funny that. Yeah, this one's pretty obvious, requires no explanation, I think.
You're right.
That's where the obvious part ends and speculation begins. Also, technically, it's like God is dead. Homura kills God both in the Witch Barrier and at the end of Rebellion, in a way, doesn't she?
Yeah, in a way.
So, let's go into speculation. There's a whole lot to be said about Nietzsche's master-slave morality and parallels in Madoka's and Homura's story, but I'm not familiar with the concept as much as the ones I explained in the previous section. I don't like it, but yeah, good and bad or evil, all a matter of perspective and circumstances and your position in, well, I suppose the master-slave relationship in this case, right? Are you the master or the slave? Which is what the entire thing is about. What is good, what is evil, matter of perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Can surely be applied to the perspectives of all the individual characters in Madoka Magica concerning the whole magic system as well. Also Madoka's sacrifice, that only Madoka and Homura remember. Sayaka, sometimes. Homura's partial undoing of that entire thing. You can read a lot into all of it. But the essence remains, what is good, what is bad, and what framework are you basing the answer on? And that's Nietzsche for you. So, is Homura Übermensch? In my opinion, no. Do you want to know why? Because Homura hates herself.
Oh yeah, and that goes against the self-love concept.
Exactly. She's not a perfect Übermensch. Homura attempts to shoot herself in the head during her fight with Mami.
You know, initially I thought that the shot had hit its mark and that the bullet came out the other end, but I guess not.
Yeah, it only grazed her, but oof. Also, Homo Lily is literally dragged to her own execution. And in that scene we get runes that say Ich töte mich, which literally means I kill myself, and Sie verherrlichen den Tod, which they glorify death. So she also still hates herself at the end of Rebellion. There are so many visual representations of that, most visible in her own familiars killing themselves and throwing tomatoes at Homura, making it look like blood. I say the Clara dolls killed themselves. Maybe it's not. I think it's obvious to most anime fans. We see them jumping off of something, probably a rooftop, with shoes left behind everywhere.
I know this one.
Yeah, so you may read my notes on that.
Oh, okay. This is an image of suicide in Japan. Because as you might have noticed in the original series and other anime, in Japanese media, they take their shoes off before jumping. Like taking your shoes off before entering a house. Yes, that's how it's done. Why would you ever wear street shoes inside? You take your shoes off before entering the afterlife.
Yes. If you want to have shoes inside, that's what house slippers are for.
Precisely.
A Übermensch wouldn't hate themselves. They would accept their own flaws and embrace them, I suppose, if I've understood correctly, or at least work hard to be better. Homura, well, she embodies parts of what make an Übermensch, and she could grow it to become one, but I don't think she will. So, yeah. Homura not quite Übermensch. Suffering is necessary for growth. Becoming a demon, or devil, was her way of overcoming her previous suffering and determining her own values and morals. She does embrace her flaws, and she has actualized her potential. Realized in the sense of actualized her potential. Even if it is in the form of a demon. But the way Rebellion presents it to us, the ending is not a happy one for Homura. She did this for Madoka, thinking this will make Madoka happy. Which debatable? Everything for Madoka, selfishly for Madoka. At this point, it's not even to become happy for Homura, it's to make Madoka happy. Or what she thinks would make Madoka happy.
without asking a Madoka who remembers everything if it would actually make her happy.
Killing God all over again.
Mhm.
So Homura is sacrificing her own self, her own happiness, her everything for this. She's not working on herself to accept herself, as her familiars so helpfully show us. She is not living a fulfilled life. She can never be with Madoka in the way she originally wished for, because of Madoka's sacrifice and because of what Homura has done in response, because she is forcing this on Madoka. They are now enemies, after all. Selfless Madoka and selfish Homura. Although Homura does say, even though they're now enemies, she still wants Madoka to be happy, so yeah.
Yeah.
I also discovered that Nietzsche came up with a concept called ewige Wiederkunft. Eternal return or eternal recurrence, which is also from Thus Spoke Zarathustra. At this point, that one will never let me go, will it?
No, it won't.
Anyway, it's about everything repeating endlessly. Time is an infinite loop, all events repeating in the same exact way, over and over again, eternally. Nietzsche is not the first to propose the concept. Greek and Hinduism and others feature it in a similar fashion, even some versions of Norse mythology. But Norse mythology is confusingly contradictory sometimes, depending on your sources, so take that with a grain of salt. The concept is, well, for one, it is quite similar to Homura's endless loops, time loops, right? For another, it's a bit intimidating to think about, or scary. Makes me think of nihilism once more, because nothing matters if it all just repeats endlessly, right? I wonder what Nietzsche would have said to that.
I wonder.
Oh, I don't even want to know how many connections between Nietzsche's many philosophical concepts I forgot or didn't know about. Too much, not important, who cares? There's a reason I put this for last.
Yes.
Ending note. We did it!
We did it!
Well, what does rebellion end on? A half moon, literally, signifying a world that isn't quite right.
Homura in a chair, leaning to the side where Madoka should be, at the edge of a cliff.
And then we get the runes for Wer hat geträumt? Who dreamed? Earlier we had the same image with runes for Wer träumt, which is literally who dreams or who is dreaming. At the end of the day, rebellion is simply a continuation of Puella Magi Madoka Magica. And while I went into a lot of symbolism and parallels in...
A lot.
Yeah, and all that for our now 3 episodes on it, that's the fundament the film is built on, being a continuation of the story. It is what rebellion is about first and foremost, picking up important themes, wishes and dreams for the series, subverting them as well, once more. We got Kyuubi being Kyuubi, having paid attention to what Homura said about witches and acting very much in character by trying to exploit that for its own gain. We got Homura's obsessive, selfish love for Madoka, of course. And all that I talked about in however long this episode is being. What is left for us?
Around an hour.
Is to wait for Walpurgisnacht Rising to be released. Hopefully, if we're lucky, actually at the end of 2024, if they're keeping their promise.
Hope so. Well, keeping their promise they did not, because then it would already be out. Winter seasons, January to March, as I mentioned in the previous episode.
We do have another winter at the end of the year, technically, right? If you just go by actual natural seasons and not anime seasons.
Well, it's an anime, so I go by anime seasons with announcements like these. So yeah, but let's hope to the end of the year.
Yeah, there are already so many theories about the trailer for the film. Also says quite something. The fandom is still there, being super excited and hyped about it even a decade later. And the trailer is so gorgeous. Oh, the sound design, the music paired with the voice and the visual. It's so good. I could listen to that trailer all day. And yes, I heard the mouth clicks. Yes, there were mouth clicks in the anime as well. Yeah, that was so bad to listen.
But yeah, of course you did notice.
Well, otherwise, I love it.
You love it.
I think Yuki Kajiura is coming back with the soundtrack, hopefully.
Oh, yeah.
I hope so much. She's so good.
Yes.
Anyway, that's finally did it. I already listened to the audio of the first one. It's so much better. Yeah, maybe we should have done this way earlier. I just scrapped the first try once I noticed the audio was messed up. Anyway, you can find us as always on X, Twitter, Spotify, and YouTube at TN Toffees. I play games live on Saturdays with Cecilia joining via chat or, well, voice chat or keyboard chat over on Twitch. Occasionally I post random art on Instagram at neitshayd. Yes.
Yes, and if you enjoyed this episode, leave us a comment. How many of those concepts Nightshade talked about did you know about? How often was your mind blown?
How many parallels did you see in Rebellion?
Also,
What did we
like,
miss?
subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thank you.
I think next up is Harry Potter. Loki will come out at one point. We have other stuff planned as always. Until
As
then,
always.
bye.